Hello and welcome to our accessibility recap of WWDC 2025. Yes, we're halfway through the year already, and Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference took place on Monday. The event kicked off with a Formula 1 sequence featuring Craig Federighi and Tim Cook, but after all the high-intensity racing and promotion for a movie on Apple TV+, it was down to business, where we got straight into Apple Intelligence. We didn't get a whole lot on the Apple Intelligence front, to be honest. It was more of a recap of everything that existed already, such as writing tools and Genmoji. The biggest news here is that Apple Intelligence will be supporting new languages really soon, so stay tuned for that. After the obligatory Apple Intelligence chat, it was on to one of the biggest announcements of the day. The first major redesign of Apple's operating system since iOS 7 was released over 10 years ago. For the first time ever, all of Apple's operating systems across all of their devices will have a completely unified visual design. Each platform will still be unique and work in its own unique way, but all devices will have a common transparent style look in what Apple is calling Liquid Glass. Very fancy indeed. It's important to note that Liquid Glass isn't something physical. It's a digital design that appears on the touchscreen, so for those with no vision, you probably won't even notice it. For those with low vision, however, time will tell if Liquid Glass is going to be harder or easier to see. From some of the screenshots we've seen so far, the colour contrast doesn't seem to be fantastic, so hopefully the accessibility team has had some input, and we'll have options to customise this when the software is released. This new Liquid Glass design is present across the operating system, from playback controls in music and movies right through to the clock. All Apple's icons have now been redesigned to fit the new design language, with the design being heavily influenced by VisionOS, available on Apple Vision Pro. The new design isn't the only thing being unified this year, with Apple set to unify its version numbers. So rather than iOS 19 and watchOS 10 and all of these different numbers, we're now just getting iOS 26, macOS 26, tvOS 26, watchOS 26, and so on. Let's jump into iOS 26 to see what's new there. Depending on the lock screen photo you use, your clock could now be much bigger, which will be very handy for those with low vision. We don't know yet if in some circumstances it could be smaller, but time will tell on that. Controls on the lock screen are also getting an upgrade, and this includes the playback controls for music, radio, podcasts and audiobooks. The camera app is being completely redesigned and simplified, and it's now quicker to take a photo or a video. That's kind of what you'd expect in a camera app. Tabs are also making a glorious return to the Photos app, but we all know they should never have been removed in the first place. It now also appears to be quicker to search for a photo, which can only be a good thing. After taking a look at photos, it was time for a random look at CarPlay. Yes, we're back to cars again. CarPlay is getting a redesigned interface for calls, and widgets and live activities are coming to CarPlay too, so if you're tracking a flight, or maybe just tracking your dinner from Uber Eats or Deliveroo, you'll now be able to do that directly from your car dashboard. Interesting stuff. Apple are copying Android with a call screening feature that will ask those calling from an unknown number to provide some information before you actually receive that call. You'll then be able to access that information before making a decision on whether to answer. iPhone will also be able to detect that high quality hold music, with the phone app holding your place in queue and giving you a call back when there's an agent available. Very cool. In a feature copied from WhatsApp and one that might be very useful for those with low vision, you can now add backgrounds to group chats and messages. Maybe it's your county colours, or a colour palette that you just find more accessible. This is a really cool improvement. In more features stolen from WhatsApp, iMessage is also getting polls and group chats, and typing indicators. So now you'll know not to lock your phone. It's just Jeremy writing a really long essay in a text message again. You can merge multiple emojis together if you so desire, or you can create whole new emojis based on existing emojis using image playgrounds. Live translation will be available across the system, so if you only speak English and your friend only speaks Spanish, you'll now be able to understand each other in messages, phone calls, and on FaceTime. Really useful for those who are living or studying abroad. Translation is also coming to the Music app, with translated lyrics and lyric pronunciations. As a Eurovision fan, this makes me very happy, although I won't be singing along. I can't sing. In another cool feature for the DJs among you, a new auto mix feature is also coming to the Music app. This feature will time stretch and beat match your songs, to create seamless transitions as you move from track to track. The Maps app will be able to learn your routine and provide you with key information as you head to home, work, or somewhere else that you frequently travel. If your habits or preferred routes change, Maps will learn this automatically, and everything should be relatively seamless. Location history can be automatically tracked on your device, and you can share this information with friends if you'd like to. So if you want to remember the name of the restaurant you went to 3 days ago, you can just look back at your location history to find out. After Maps, we're back to cars, yet again, as we hear that car keys are being more widely supported in the Wallet app. There are also upgrades to IDs and virtual passports for US citizens in certain states. You'll be able to use Apple Pay to better access rewards when shopping in person, and the Wallet app will now automatically track shipments for you, which is really handy. And the Game Center is back. It's just not called the Game Center anymore. Apple are introducing a new dedicated gaming app, with features for communicating with friends and playing games on Apple Arcade. As an aside, there's a lot that could be done to make Apple Arcade games more accessible, but we've written an article on that, so we won't dwell on it now. Finally, for now on the iPhone side, Visual Intelligence is getting an upgrade. Now when you take a screenshot, you have the option to ask questions of Apple Intelligence. Maybe this will speed up descriptions for voiceover users, and we won't need to rely on apps like Be My Eyes or Ira. After a solid upgrade for iPhone, it was time to move on to Apple Watch. In one of my personal favourite announcements from the event, there's a new AI personal trainer to guide you through workouts on Apple Watch. As you walk or run, the virtual personal trainer will provide encouragement along the way. They might be like, "Great job, David, you've ran 5 kilometers. Your average heart rate was 150 beats per minute, and it only took you 2 months, 3 days, 4 hours and 10 minutes. I was always the last one in the races in school." Genuinely though, this is a cool feature, and I'm certainly excited to try it out. Smart Stack widgets are also getting significant improvements and will be much more context aware. And there's the introduction of live activities on Apple Watch, so you can quickly keep up with what's relevant to you. As an example of how this could be useful, when you walk into the gym in the morning, the Smart Stack could automatically recommend that you start a workout. This intelligent prediction can be really useful and is a significant upgrade from the Siri suggestions that we had back in the day. Notification volumes on Apple Watch will now be dynamic based on the loudness of your environment, and you can quickly dismiss and mute things by flicking your wrist. Very cool. Similar to iPhone, live translation is coming to Watch, and you can also add those conversation backgrounds that we mentioned earlier. I wonder, will we get WhatsApp on the Watch one day? It only took 15 years for it to come to the iPad. Anyway, I digress. The final big update for the Watch is the introduction of the Notes app. Recording a voice memo will probably be just as quick, but there you go. Next up is the Apple TV, which is also reaching its Liquid Glass era. And there's a redesign of the Apple TV app on the Apple TV, with a better design for posters and TV shows. As mentioned previously, I can't sing, but for those of you who can, Apple Music is getting an upgrade on Apple TV too. You can now use your iPhone microphone as a karaoke mic, so you can sing along to your heart's content and have everything amplified through the telly. Your angry neighbour Susan approves. The Apple TV is a great way to make any television accessible with the screen reader, and it sounds like it's getting some really nice upgrades. Next up, it was onto the Mac. But what are we going to call macOS this year? We're leaving macOS Sequoia behind and diving in to macOS Tahoe. This one's up there with Sonoma for me. I mean, Tahoe, it sounds great. As well as lots of the stuff from the iPhone also making its way to the Mac, you'll now be able to adjust the colour of folders, which will be really good for those with low vision or colour blindness. You'll also be able to put an emoji on folders, so your Christmas folder can have a Christmas tree, your family photos can have a love heart, or you can have a man in business suit levitating on your work folder. Yes, that's its actual title. Mixed with theme colours and backgrounds, macOS is very visually customizable, which is always brilliant. This is becoming a trend now, but live activities is also coming to Mac, and there's a phone app coming to the Mac for the first time. So you can look like you're actually on a call with your boss when you're actually on a call with your mom. There are new Apple Intelligence powered actions coming to shortcuts, and there's better support for shortcut automations, which are really useful both for accessibility and for working professionals. Spotlight search is becoming much more powerful, and it's getting new keyboard shortcuts, which is great. Rather than having to launch a number of apps, for example, you could just write AR to add a reminder. You can do so much just from Spotlight now, which is really cool. For those of us using screen readers, keyboard shortcuts like this are important, so I think this is to be welcomed. The new gaming app is also making its way to the Mac, providing some competition for Steam. And you can now bring up a new tool called the Game Overlay to provide quick access to critical gaming related settings. After the Mac, it was over to the device that inspired the whole Liquid Glass design, VisionOS. There are new really pretty widgets available on VisionOS, including ones for the clock, weather, and more. Widgets are always good, as they can make things easier to see for people with low vision in particular. Time will tell how much we'll be able to resize these, but it is a good upgrade. Personas, which are the avatars that represent you when you're wearing Vision Pro, have become more realistic. That could be a good or a bad thing depending on who you ask. And Apple seem to be making a push for Vision Pro to be used in enterprise environments, with them demoing how personas can be used for group training, for example. This section of the presentation saw the only mention of accessibility throughout the day too, with Vision Pro able to remember your accessibility preferences based on your eye alone. This probably won't work for those using prosthetic eyes, but it's an interesting concept for sure. Because Vision Pro will be able to recognise who's wearing it based on their eyes, it will also be able to hide any confidential information and restrict it to those who are entitled to see it. Very clever tech. Finally, on the Vision Pro side, there's support for some accessories such as the new Logitech Muse and the DualSense controllers from PlayStation VR. It's a shame Vision Pro hasn't launched in Ireland yet, but it's good to see it improving. From Vision Pro, it was on to the last device of the day, the iPad. The iPad is getting a new windowing system, allowing you to move windows wherever you want to on the screen. We don't know how this is going to work with VoiceOver yet, but it looks really cool and will bring multitasking to a whole new level on iPad, making it more of a Mac with a touchscreen than a big iPhone. This will excite a lot of people. There are significant upgrades to file management, which will be great for students, and we will finally be able to set audio inputs for apps on iPad. This is a huge deal, but it probably bores 90% of people, so there you go. And that was WWDC 2025. There's still a lot we don't know, and time will tell how difficult it's going to be to see this new Liquid Glass design. But do be sure to subscribe to VI Labs for a more accessible perspective on the world of technology. You'll find more in-depth discussion in episode 86 of our Talking Technology podcast. It's linked in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.